Welcome back to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, share wherever else you're listening, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you coming back. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Want to thank Adam Chubbuck with TacMD.com. That's TACMD.com. Douglas Realty in Pasadena, Maryland. The DMV area, as the kids like to say, which is the Maryland, Virginia, D.C. area. It's going to go through some turmoil if you haven't been paying attention with the federal layoffs. This real estate market is going to be unique. Whereas like during the last recession back in 2007, we really didn't feel a lot of the effects of it because of the federal workforce. Everything is kind of insulated. And even though in Maryland it's only about 130,000 people, it does have an effect. It's got and this is where Republicans say trickle-down effect. It's got an effect because these people spend money in the local economy, which it basically led to less of a recession in this area because there were less layoffs. Now you've got the private companies and you got the federal government laying people off. So I do think this area is going to be hit harder than most if there is a recession. If you are looking to buy or sell a home, you're going to need someone who is a professional. This is not a for sale by owner type of market. This is not a search Zillow kind of market. This is a talk with a real estate agent who's been there, done that, and can get you through this process and get you the best deal possible, either as a buyer or a seller. So you want to go to TacMD.com. That's TACMD.com. You need to talk to Adam. He is going to be honest with you. And in this market, especially as some real estate agents get desperate for business, because there are going to be some houses that sit on the market, there's going to be a lack of buyers. He is not going to feed you a line of bullshit. He's going to tell you exactly what you need to hear. This goes back, my parents sold their house in upstate New York a long time ago. And when they sold the house, they had a real estate agent who came in. He was not warm and fuzzy. He was not a very kind individual. But he came in and said, I will not sell your house unless you do these 3 things to fix it. Otherwise, find someone else. He goes, if you want the most for your house, you're going to do these items. It's going to get you more for your house. And yes, I will sell it for you. And he did, and he sold it in 5 days. and that's what good real estate agents do.
Now, Adam is warm and fuzzy. He's a nice guy.
He's warm and fuzzy. But when I sit and talk with him about real estate, it's business. His videos are warm and fuzzy. I like the fact that he uplifts other agents in his agency. He's been doing a little video series on it. So I'm not saying he's not a nice person.
Yeah.
But when it comes to business time, it's business time and not in the sexy way. So go to TacMD.com. Talk to Adam. He is going to let you know what you need to know, not what you want to hear. So TacMD.com, TACMD.com. Want to thank Adam for sponsoring the show for the next 6 months. All right. We are going to talk about the State of the Union, and I get it. We've talked quite a bit of politics in the last couple shows, but there is a lot of stuff going on, and this is what people are talking about. We will eventually talk about dumbass shit again. Mm-hmm. This is a dumbass show. Don't get that shit twisted.
Right. We're now, and just, if it makes you feel better, it's 2 dumbasses talking about politics. So.
That is correct. Yeah. So we are not intelligent. Not in the classic sense of the word, right? Not in the book learning straight A type of word. Because I don't think I got. I don't think I got A's in college.
College, I did a lot of effing off. High school, I got straight A's 1 semester. It was the last semester of my senior year, and my class schedule was as follows. We did 4 periods a day, like block scheduling. So the first one, I was an aide to my physics teacher. So I would just go in and help him like grade papers or set up experiments. That I got an A in that class. Band, I was in the concert band, so I got an A in that class. Strength training, I got an A in that class, and I think my final class was English. And I also received an A in that class because I was a decent writer compared to the other droogs that in the class. So,
and between the two of us, you are the more booked. What is the? I don't even know what the word.
Well read. No. I read more.
You read more than I do.
Yeah,
100% more. Yeah. Look,
and with this injury, I was able to read a lot more. So.
That being said, this is going to be a feelings, not facts show, as almost all of them are.
Yeah.
Okay. Our words are our own. They don't represent anybody else. They don't represent any other organization. Especially now that I came out of the closet, so to speak, but not in the sexual way. In the last episode, so. I watched the State of the Union. I didn't watch it live. I watched it the day after on YouTube. Because I had read some of the comments, and I'm like, if you read one side, he was awful. If you read another side, he was fantastic, and the other side was insufferable. All right, so which one is it, right?
Yeah.
I have to say this. A couple things stood out. One, Trump gave an hour and a half long speech without opening the notebook in front of him. I don't know, it had the teleprompter screen, so I don't know if he was reading it, but he wasn't looking at it to read it. So if this was an hour and a half speech without any notes whatsoever, that's impressive to me.
Yeah.
Because I know how incredibly difficult that is to do. Like, he didn't even have and maybe the teleprompter had like the talking point, maybe, because he didn't even have like a piece of paper with like the talking point. I think I'm going to assume there was the talking point on the teleprompter, but I don't know if that's true. Either way, though, for an hour and a half long speech, that's impressive to me.
Yeah. Did he like the previous guy? Did he go blah 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 blah? Pause.
No,
wait for applause. Blah, 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 blah.
No, he didn't read the action prompt. No. So that was one thing that stood out to me. Again, whether there was a talk, and even the statistics that he had for the talking points. Like, some people can read something and it sticks in their brain. I think he might be one of those guys, because he knew, like, he was rattling off figures. Now, I won't say facts, because who knows if they were true or not. But that is impressive to me. I don't care who does it. It's an impressive feat. All right, that was one. Two, when it comes to speeches and talking points, he is unmatched in that regard, because and I don't know how to put. So basically, he would like point out Democrat deficiencies, but he also, I don't know how he did, but like he would basically, not to be. I wish I could know how to say this, but basically, like he was talking about, he said this one statement. It was, I could say that I found a cure for cancer, and they still wouldn't be happy. Nothing I can say is going to make them happy or applaud.
Yeah.
Because they weren't applauding for it. They didn't stand or applaud for anything. And I'll get to that in a minute.
Do they do the dumb thing like they all wear the same color?
Some of the ladies wore pink, and then they also had like the bitter paddles at an auction with words written on them. Like one was like Musk steals. Like, okay, you look like fucking children.
Yeah.
Then they had this one representative, Al Green from Texas, who stood up and was like trying to talk at the president. So he stood up, he's pointing his cane at the president, and he's talking, right? Now, there are usually outbursts throughout these speeches, the State of the Union type stuff. They say their one-liner, and they shut the fuck up. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
I think Joe Walsh from South Carolina. You lie!
Yeah.
During Obama's term.
Yeah.
No, look, they're all putzes.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be doing that shit. Sit down, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, respect the office, if not the man.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know about it, but this is a fucking speech.
Yeah.
This isn't a conversation. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You have your place and time. Go hold a press conference. You don't want to know why you don't do that? Because no one fucking listens. This is the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Sit down, listen to what he has to say. Boo if you want.
Yeah.
Okay? And again, and like, oh, you're only saying that because you're a Trumper. First of all, not a Trumper.
Yeah.
Second of all, I just called out Marjorie Taylor Greene and Joe Walsh. I think Joe Walsh. I don't remember the fact. It was the rep from South Carolina.
Yeah, there was Obama, and he said, and I thought that was disrespectful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shouldn't have done it. I mean, we're not British Parliament, all right?
Which is kind of funny.
That shit's hilarious. Like, if you ever want to see it's almost like out of a movie, like a Mr. Bean movie. Like, they just sit there, they talk shit.
Like, those positions, like sergeant at arms, like, you needed to be, like, a sergeant at all, like, with arms, like.
So funny. So you got Al Green, not the singer.
Yeah.
Shaking his shit at Trump. And he's going on for 30 seconds. And Trump's just sitting there taking it. And then finally, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who's in charge of this shit, waits 30 seconds. Like, he's trying to be nice about it.
Yeah.
So eventually he bangs the gavel and says, please have decorum.
Yeah.
Basically, please sit down and shut the fuck up. They wait another 30 seconds while this guy's still going off. And at this point, his sole purpose in this is to get kicked out.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing this for. It's performative bullshit. And I'll get to performative bullshit in a minute.
Yeah.
So then finally, the sergeant at arms in the House, I don't think this guy's ever probably had to do this before, but he had to walk a congressman out of the fucking chamber. Now, he went peacefully. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna be a dick about it. No, he knew. Again, this is what he wanted.
Yeah.
This is how he's gonna fundraise. Oh, I'm a fighter. Give me money. Okay, douchebag. We get it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, of course, the internet never loses. So the guy's got kind of like the caveman from Geico commercial look. So they started. Of course, they went in on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was like the performative number one that happened that night. Right off the bat. Bam. Of course, AOC said she wasn't going to show up. Ayanna Presley then had to do an Instagram reel and say that she walked out. If you have to tell people you walked out, nobody's paying attention to you.
Right.
You're not that important.
You just did an Irish goodbye, essentially.
Correct. People thought you left to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And you just didn't come back, and nobody noticed you didn't come back.
And that's like every meeting I go to.
100%.
I'm going to go poop for 30 minutes.
Exactly. Like, oh, it's this kind of meeting? I need to go take a shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I came back and it's over? Oh, my bad.
Oh, darn, what did I miss? Nothing.
I really, my stomach was grumbling. It came out. I had prunes last night. Anyway, all right. So they won't clap for shit. Even the good shit. You want to know the one thing they clapped about? When the dollar amount that went to Ukraine was said. Now, Trump was like, oh, it was $320 billion. Okay, it probably ain't that fucking high. I think the actual dollar amount is $170 billion.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, that amount is more than we've given to Israel, who's our highest recipient all time. Like, I think it's just under that.
Yeah.
Right? They clap for that shit.
Right.
It's like, could you have just signaled the fucking pro-war party?
Right.
Any worse than that?
Yeah. Yeah, they clap for death and destruction.
Yeah.
And it's funny, as I've gotten older, and I think especially having 3 boys, I've become a bit of a peacenik. And through that, like, I don't want to see anyone getting killed. And the only reason the war is still going on is because we're fueling it. Like, blood is on American hands. Like, there's not, and they say, oh, there's no U.S. surface personnel over there. You can't send these weapon systems over there. It's not like, oh, hey, point it at the airplane and fire it. Like, they come with trucks and, they've got radar systems and all kinds of, like, these are run by, they have to be shown how to use it.
Yeah, but here's a counter argument to that. If Smith & Wesson sells you a gun and you shoot it, is Smith & Wesson responsible? The answer is no, right?
Correct.
If the U.S. sells Ukraine Patriot missiles or whatever the fuck missiles we have now, is the U.S. responsible for Ukraine using it? And the answer is no. However, there is a huge caveat here. Go on.
So the Smith & Wesson thing, right, I own a Smith & Wesson. If I take that weapon out and shoot someone with it because we're having a beef, no, Smith & Wesson's not responsible. However, if Smith & Wesson goes and provides me all the weapons in my beef that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to obtain, and then sends me an instructor and shows me how to use them effectively, maybe even demonstrates it once or twice, well, then, yeah, they do kind of own some of that.
And also tells you where to point it.
Right.
Where to aim it.
Yeah. And here's where they're going to be at this time.
Right.
And I've got a drone flying over to direct your,
Yeah.
Oh, do you need an F-16? Because we got some of those.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's more of a partnership at that point than it is, oh, I'm just going to sell you some shit.
Right.
No.
Right.
There's a huge difference.
Right. Like if Ford goes, like if someone goes to a bar and gets drunk and crashes a Ford wasn't, but if Ford is at the bar giving everyone out booze and then giving everyone Mustangs, then there might be some issues,
Might be a good time, but not a good idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that stuff. So when Trump said that one line, though, when he said, I could stand up here and say I found a cure for cancer, and they still wouldn't clap. I can never make them happy, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
That one line, basically, and coupled with how they acted, because I'm going to get to about 3 points here that will show that that's how they acted. That's damning.
Yeah.
Because then he goes and like every State of the Union type address, and I don't know if this was an actual State of the Union because he wasn't the president last year, so yeah. I think this was just an address to Congress. It's not like, I think for it to be a State of the Union, you had to have been the president the prior year.
Yeah.
I think that's the official term of it. So anyway, during this joint address of Congress, they do it during State Unions, joint address of Congress, they always bring people in for their anecdotes and say, this person, I'm going to do this for you, or we believe in this because this person had this happen to them. Okay. So there were 3 situations. The Lake and Riley one, which was the girl who went out for a jog and got murdered by an illegal immigrant. There was a female volleyball player who was had a ball spiked off of her face by a transgender female volleyball player. So that's the women, the transgender women in girls sports.
Yeah.
So immigration, transgender women in girls sports, and then they had this 13-year-old boy who had suffered from brain cancer. Basically told he had 6 months to live, and he beat cancer. Okay, so those are the 3 people he highlighted. The immigration one. You can't clap for the mother and the sister of the girl that died.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, because it's anti-immigration.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And yeah, I'm not with you, but I'll follow your logic a little bit.
Right.
We're not going to clap for that because it's anti-immigration. All right? Even though your poll numbers are shit on that topic.
Right.
But okay, I'm following the logic. Number 2, the girl getting basically the ball spiked off her face, and she ended up being like partially paralyzed and shit.
Yeah.
They can't get behind that because then it takes away their transgender policy. All right. I mean, again, you're 70. 70-30%. Or 70%, 30% in the negative on that one, but hold strong.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't clap for that. We're not clapping for that. We're not standing, we're not clapping. Even though she's right there, teenage girl in the stands, looking at you, not clapping.
Yeah.
Because she had fucking brain damage. We're not gonna clap for that recovery.
F you.
All right. Somewhat following the logic now. Somewhat. Not on board, but I see where your head's at. Number 3, the boy with brain cancer.
How do you not?
Dude, I swear to God, every time I watch this clip, and I've watched it 3 times now, it's like Teddy's dog fur got in my eyes. And my allergies are just kicking in with the wetness, right? It's strange how at that particular time when I watch these videos, it just happens to happen. Always.
Yeah. I mean, Teddy's a big dog. So.
Teddy's, I mean, his hair it's just only then, though.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, I'm fine. 2 minutes before, I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, Teddy, like, it's not like he's even in the room. It just kind of happens to float into my eye, and the water comes out.
Some draft in here somewhere.
Jeez. I mean, So he brings up this kid, and the kid, he wants to be a police officer. So he wears, and he's probably got some brain issues from the cancer. Like, you could tell there's a little something off. No big deal, right? But he's a 13-year-old kid. He wears an officer uniform. I don't know. It's probably one of those costume ones and whatever. He's been deputized by local law enforcement in his area.
They probably make him chief for the day.
Sure, yeah. So Trump points him out, and he has the head of the Secret Service come out. They give him a Secret Service deputized certificate badge type thing. It said, you are now an official member of the Secret Service. You're deputized as a Secret Service officer. And the dad's like holding them up.
Yeah.
Now the dad's also wearing, by the way, he's also a black kid.
Oh,
so
okay.
So you got a black father with a black child. And again, Trump's racist, right?
Yeah.
That's what the left tells us. Trump's racist. He's wearing a Texas flag, so he's got it from Texas. Like, like, oh, well, he's from Texas. But, okay.
He's white adjacent.
Yeah, right. He's a white supremacist. Yeah. The black face of white supremacy.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So the dad's holding the kid up. I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't think the kid could really see because he's shorter.
There's the balcony. And
it's in the balcony, right. But there's the Secret Service officer, the head of the Secret Service, giving him the badge. The dad's holding the kid up. And out of nowhere, the kid gives the head of the Secret Service a hug. Like, it hits all the feelings.
Yeah.
Right there. The kid's being clapped for, not by the Democrats, but being clapped for by everybody else in the room. And I don't know, he just goes in for the hug.
Yeah.
And the Secret Service officer hugs him.
Yeah.
Beautiful moment. Like, if Teddy's hair wasn't in my eyes, I don't know, if someone wasn't chopping onions in the room every fucking time,
it was like a Folgers commercial.
It was. It was Folgers, Subaru, all those commercials were just happening.
Yep.
Like, picture in picture. I was watching them all at the same time. The Democrats didn't stand and clap for that. You can't stand and clap for a minority child who overcame brain cancer, who Trump is now anointing, doing a ceremonial deputization.
Yeah.
You can't clap for that?
Maybe they just locked up. Maybe the computers couldn't compute it. You know the meme where it's the guy, he's standing over the 2 buttons, sweating, like, which one do I push? Like, cheer for the Trump kid that he pointed out. Maintain party. Like maybe they all just glitched.
So all of this happens. And then Trump comes with the line, I could cure cancer today. And there's nothing I'm ever going to do that's going to make them happy.
Mm-hmm. And it's like...
and he's looking right at them as he says it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking... love him or hate him. Or be indifferent to the guy.
Yeah.
He knows how to hit at average voters. Mm-hmm. Because that's a common sense point. I could do this, this, or this, and they're still going to hate me. Mm-hmm. You better come up with something quick. Because, I mean, I hate to say it, midterms are only 18 months away.
Yeah.
You're going to get your shit handed to you for the first time. The midterms always generally go against the president. Mm-hmm. Almost always.
Yeah, it's almost always a correction.
Yeah. If they don't turn this shit around, they're going to fucking get torched.
Yeah.
Like, now, look, I know things swing, right? Look, overreaction. It's people aren't going to remember 8 months from now.
They'll remember 8 minutes ago.
Right. But he's not going to let up.
Yeah.
He's gonna keep saying this shit. And the worst part about it, that the Democrat politicians have no personality. It's all planned. It's all produced. So what do the Democrats do? Well, these dumbasses put 27 of them put out individual Instagram, Twitter reel, whatever video. It's the same fucking video. It's just different people. So it's the same picture of Trump. It's the same script. So imagine like Cory Booker and Elizabeth Warren saying the same script. Word for fucking word. They're holding the same lapel mic.
Oh, is it the stupid little microphone they all hold when they...
Well, no, I mean, it's like basically if I would attach a microphone to my phone. Like
okay.
It's one of those little lapel mics. You're supposed to put it on.
Yeah.
They couldn't even be bothered to put it on so they didn't look like the other schmucks. Mm-hmm. 27 videos. The same fucking video.
Not one original thought among them.
None. So, of course, it's like they don't understand they're part of the internet age.
Yeah.
So you want to know what someone did? They took all 27 videos, put it into a video. Like, they literally put all 27 videos into one square, mm-hmm. and they hit play. Word for word, the same fucking video.
Yeah, it's like when they take the mashups of all the pundits and the reporters, sharpest attack, sharpest, safe and effective, and they have them all say it, then they have them all say it at the same time, safe and effective, safe and effective. Like they just cut to the chase.
But this was an entire minute long video.
Yeah.
Didn't even deviate a word. 27 of them. You can't tell anyone who sees this that they all just magically thought this.
Right.
No, someone gave them a fucking script.
Yeah. Or it's no one gave him the script. No one gave him the script. That's a lie. But if it happened, it's good.
Right, correct. Well, what's wrong with being united?
Yeah.
What's wrong with having a cohesive message?
Yeah.
Because it's not authentic.
Yeah.
Why does this podcast get listens?
Because we're authentic.
Because we're ourselves.
Yeah.
No one gives us a fucking talking point.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Why is a Rogan effective? Why is a Jimmy Dore effective? Why is Russell Brand effective? If you listen to those three shows, they mm-hmm. might say roughly the same thing, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah. And do you remember back when the Democrats were like, we need a Joe Rogan? Like, you can't produce that. Like, you're missing the point.
You had him.
Yeah. You had a Joe Rogan. His name was Joe Rogan.
Right, correct. You had Jimmy Dore. Mm-hmm. You had Russell Brand. These are the biggest names well, Jimmy might not be, but Russell Brand and Joe Rogan are for sure.
Yeah.
You had them.
Yeah.
They were liberals.
Mm-hmm.
They are liberals.
Yeah.
That's another thing. We're taking the word liberal back. Fuck Democrats. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're not liberals.
Yeah. I was talking to my buddy, I was like, because you have liberal and conservative, like they're the opposites of each other. But my dad was like your classical liberal, like open to debate and new ideas and discuss and all that's, that was my dad. My mom was she subscribed to Mother Jones' Diary. Like, you can see but when I look at what they're doing, that's not liberal. Stifling free speech and shouting down ideas they don't like is hate speech and racist. Like, that's their playbook. You know, that's not a liberal value. You know, I don't understand the ACLU. Like, you know, they've gone so far left, and it's just to protect the ideology. You know, they're ideologues.
So there's all right. So, well, I mean, so anti-free speech, and they're anti-free speech and pro-war.
Yeah,
those were two hardcore liberal ideas. Fuck that now.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, we don't need that shit. And women's rights.
Yeah.
Women's fucking rights.
Mm-hmm.
We're anti-women's spaces now?
Yeah.
All the shit you fought for years. Title IX. Women's independent spaces.
Yeah.
No. The trans people can go in there now.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not anti-trans.
Mm-hmm.
Be as trans as you want.
Yeah.
Live your life, right? But when you try to impose onto another group, that's when I have an issue.
Yeah.
And that's a major issue for me.
Well, and that's like when you're like when people say healthcare is a human right, and I tend to lean more towards that side. Mm-hmm. Except the problem with it is, and I'm willing to admit the problem with it is if I say healthcare is a human right, that means that you have to take someone who's very skilled and who's going through a lot of education and invested in themselves to attain those levels. You're telling that person that you now have to perform this service because it's a human right, right? Like and I know that's a very simplistic view of it, but the point being is in order to provide that, you have to take something from someone else to provide it. Now, there's a whole bunch of other ways costs have come up, and we've talked about this on this show, so I'm not going to go into the weeds on it, but when a right starts infringing upon another's right, well, then that's where the border has to stop. That's where the line kind of has to get drawn. So, like, yeah, be as trans or as whatever, if that's you, that's great. However, when you then when those exercising those rights are infringing upon the rights of others, in this case women, then that's where a line kind of has to get drawn. So it's that's kind of like how I look at a lot of things. Like, but in order to come to those positions, and sometimes there is no solid answer, but you have to be open to analyze it, to debate it, to discuss it. And I'm not saying that I'm not in the sand, stuck in concrete on any issue. There's a bunch of things I've changed my positions on as I've grown up, and I'm a much different person in my mid 40s than I was in my mid 20s.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's just my opinion right now that Democrats are not liberals.
Yeah.
Anymore. And I don't know exactly when that switched, but I would say it was in the last 10 years. I probably didn't notice it the first 5 of that.
Well, it's the frog in the boiling water.
Right.
Eventually the frog, by the time the frog realizes the water's too hot, it's too late.
Yeah. I mean, and people are like, well, how are they anti-free speech? Well, this was the Biden administration was the one that actually greenlit, or I don't know if greenlit, I guess it was in the works before Biden, but Biden didn't squash it.
Yeah.
He actually implemented the Disinformation Governance Board,
yeah,
where the government was going to be the sole reasoner of truth versus fiction.
Right.
And no, I'm never going to be about that.
Yeah.
No, it in this society, everything is open for debate, so that people can determine what's truth versus fiction.
And even bad, awful ideas, and that's hate speech. Well, it is because you hate it. It's not hate speech because, like, anything becomes hate speech. They'll probably say this is hate speech. But, like, when you're the one deciding what the hate speech is, you're not always going to be the one deciding what it is.
Right.
And then eventually it becomes to the other side. And, now they're deciding what hate speech is. Oh, my God, you can't censor me. Well, you were just doing it, trying to do it for years.
Yeah, and so that's why I don't think Democrats are for free speech. They're certainly not anti-war anymore. They're not for women's rights anymore. The only women's rights they're still trying to fight for is the abortion law. Mm-hmm. And I've said this before. I think Republicans really screwed the pooch when they had Roe v. Wade overturned. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, if you wanted to curtail abortion more, you should have come up, and they didn't have the numbers to do it, so this is why they probably didn't do it that way, but they should have come up with legislation to do so. And at one point, I mean, Lindsey Graham had come out with that 16-week abortion ban. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say, or 16-week abortion limit. I'm going to say it's a limit, which was actually more liberal than Europe was. And, you know, I think if Trump really wanted to fuck with Democrats, he should have, now that they got control of the House and the Senate, pass that 16-week abortion law. Mm-hmm. He's going to lose some in the base, but guess what? That base wasn't going to vote Democrat anyway.
Yeah. They just won't vote.
No, right. But that one law, you take away the biggest campaigning fundraiser for Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
2, it's just a way to fuck with them.
Yeah.
It's a way to fuck with them. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Trump's never been a full-blown, pro-life guy.
No, I can't. So when you look at him and you think, he was like hitting, in the 80s, the cocaine-fueled 80s, and he's a real estate mogul in Manhattan. You don't think Trump funded an abortion or two? Like, I'm not saying this for a fact, and maybe not him, but think of a guy just like rolling around in his 80s Mercedes-Benz. What is it? The you remember the old 80s like convertible that like from like Beverly Hills Cop? Yeah, I couldn't think of the model, but like listening to Duran Duran on the tape deck. Like, come on, dude. Like,
I mean, allegedly, we'll say allegedly, right? Allegedly, he had those encounters,
or it's a distinct possibility.
Allegedly, yeah. Possible,
yeah.
But even so, though, I mean, he's even come out and said that he wanted it to be legislated in Congress. Mm-hmm. He said otherwise it's got to go back to the states. Now, I am not a fan of having different rules in different states. I don't think that. I mean, as a country, I don't think that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. And I can 100% see that argument. There should be one rule so that someone doesn't have to go across state lines to get certain health care.
Yeah.
I don't. I think it's a horrible. Like, so the solution they have now is horrible. Mm-hmm. I think that Congress needs to figure this shit out. Now, I think Congress needs to figure a lot of shit out, like immigration policy. Figure that shit out.
Yeah.
But if Trump really wanted to screw over Democrats, he would have them legislate that, get it passed, and he takes away more money from the Democrat Party because they can't campaign on it. Mm-hmm. What are they going to campaign on? Like, oh, we want abortion till birth. No, that's not popular with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, even the pro-choice people aren't about that.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones that, it's not happening. It's not happening. It doesn't happen. Well, yeah, it does in some cases, and if you don't think it does, then you're willfully not looking for it.
Right.
So the only thing they'll have left is this trans issue, and I hate to harp on the trans issue. By the way, and you had talked about the ACLU. So if you ever wonder why the ACLU in the recent history hasn't been, they used to fight for free speech regardless.
Yeah.
Didn't matter whose side it was.
Yeah.
There is a lawyer there. I believe he's the head lawyer. Fairly young individual. I believe his name is Chase Strangio. Mm-hmm. Is a trans individual.
Yeah.
So he's got some skin in the game as far as what he's willing to fight for. And the ACLU is now more of, it's the legal wing of the trans movement.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned this before. You're talking about intersex children. The number is anywhere between 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 5,000 kids are born intersex, meaning they have the reproductive parts of either. Generally, it's both.
Yeah.
Or it's one, but it doesn't present properly.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a thing, but it only affects 1.7% of the population. Maybe less. And most people aren't associating that with the whole trans women and girl sports. That's not. These are individuals who have just decided they feel like a woman. Mm-hmm. They're Shania Twaining.
Yeah.
You know? By the way, banger of a song.
Yeah.
All right. Like,
everyone turns that song up when it comes on.
And any guy who says they didn't
is
lie.
A
little fucking liar. I think that I've said this before. Trans folks kind of like, and I don't want to generalize, but sometimes gay and lesbian folks are a little bit what they call extra, right? A little bit out, more energetic, I would say, right? Mm-hmm. So they're really good. They're really good at campaigning because they have no problem talking to people, getting in front of them. Hey, how are you? How's your day? Right? Yeah. Activism. They're very strong with activism. And so I think as some support for the Democrats kind of waned, they took on people that were energetic, that had the energy to go and get out and get votes and organize. And of course, if you have a new group of people that are more energetic, they're coming part of your party, they're being more involved in your party, yeah, that's going to sway some of your opinions. It's going to sway some of your agendas. Unfortunately, it's an agenda that's very unpopular.
Yeah.
Especially with independent voters. Mm-hmm. Like someone asked me, they said, well, how do you vote? I said, well, let's put it this way. I'm registered unaffiliated. Mm-hmm. I registered Republican one time, but that was just because our neighbor was running in something. Yeah. And it was the general election always went Republican. So really the vote is in the primary.
Yeah.
So I registered as a Republican so I could vote in the primary because as registered unaffiliated, I usually don't get to vote in any primary.
Right.
I just have to vote for who the primaries spit out.
Yeah.
So to help her out because she was nice, I wasn't Republican, but I was like, oh, I'll vote, And I think my wife did the same thing. Like she's a registered Democrat.
Yeah.
I think she registered Republican to vote.
So I switched from independent to Republican to vote for, and I never switched it back.
Yes.
It's really easy to switch in Maryland. You do it all online.
Yep. So. I think I switched it back.
Yeah.
Just because I really don't want to vote in primaries. It's an extra waste of money or waste of time in my opinion. Yeah. But ever since I've lived in Maryland, I've always been registered unaffiliated. Although I think I registered independent when I first got here because I thought independent was unaffiliated, but I didn't realize there was an independent party.
Yeah.
It was a party called Independent. Anyway, I've been unaffiliated forever. People that vote like us, who have no qualms about voting for either party based on who's least nuts. Mm-hmm. Because that's essentially what it's come down to.
And sometimes unfortunately it's come down to which one of these bad choices do I want. Do I want to hold a dog turd in my hand or a cat turd in my hand? Mm-hmm. You still got a handful of shit. It's just which one is
one's going to do the least amount of damage.
Yeah.
And so for people like us, or I'm going to speak for me, someone like me, I am not pro-war, I'm not pro-censorship, and I'm not anti-women having their own spaces. Mm-hmm. Am I for mass illegal immigration raids and all this other shit? Not really. I mean, I think we need to get criminals out.
Yeah.
I think our immigration policy needs to be revamped.
Yeah.
It's a fucking mess.
It's broken. And if you've talked to anyone who's attempted to do it the legal right way, mm-hmm. It's going to cost thousands of dollars to do it
and take years.
Yeah. So that's one of those things where, and what I hate about the political climate is that it forces you to pick camps. Mm-hmm. Like, there's absolutely, it eliminates all nuance. And these people that just march lockstep. Like, I don't march lockstep with anyone. And no one's going to tell me what to think or who to like. You know, apparently it's like really popular to hate Putin. Like, I don't have an opinion one way or the other on Putin. I'm an American. I live here, you know. But when it comes to these issues, like, say, immigration, there's absolutely nothing wrong with not wanting to see mass deportations and also wanting to have a secure border. Mm-hmm. But what they've done is, because they've attached racism and bigotry to everything, if you say you're not for their exact position, then you're a racist. You must not like Latinos. Well, no, it has nothing to do with that. I don't want to, people, because all it's done is enrich the cartels in Mexico. Like, they're making more money on, when it was open, they were making more money as coyotes than they were selling cocaine. Mm-hmm. Like, it beat out coke, So,
tough to do.
Yeah. So, but if you say that, well, you're a racist. You're a xenophobe. No, I'm not xenophobe at all. I love visiting foreign countries and dealing with people, and meeting people from other cultures, and all. It's awesome. It enriches us. But that's my big beef with that side, is it's always, if it's zero sum, if this, then that. No room for nuance, no room for discussion, no room for thought. Get in line.
And I will say this, though, they don't have a monopoly on that.
No.
So it was funny. Before Trump won, the MAGA people were like, oh, we want everybody. Come on in. After he won.
Yeah, now it's like, fuck you, yeah. You're cool.
Right. But the funny thing is, like, if you have any disagreement over what's going on.
Yeah.
So I got comments about our last episode when we talked about Elon. And some of them were like, oh, you guys are fucking stupid. You guys are you're just sympathetic to government workers. Blah, blah. Yeah. Like, hold up a minute. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
there'd probably be something wrong with you if you were. Like, just pick me.
Right. Well, the other part is, like, we also said there should be reductions.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they don't hear one part of the argument. They only hear the part they want to hate.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, I'm not going to just fall in line with shit that I don't like. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, just because Trump said something doesn't make it awesome.
It's not gospel. He's not Jesus.
No. And I don't even agree with Jesus all the time. Yeah. I mean, I did. Well, technically Jesus was a Jew, so I did marry in. Mm-hmm. But, like, even along those lines, like, yes, I married a Jewish woman. My kids are being raised partially Jewish. We celebrate Christmas, and it's a long story. Anyway, I still don't want to silence neo-Nazis and hateful rhetoric and the Palestinian protesters. I don't want to silence them. I want them to be out and about.
Yeah.
Because if what they're saying is truly horrible, I want people to hear it.
Yeah.
Now, yes, will there be some people who hear and be like, oh, I want to join that? Sure, because they're dumb.
Yeah. But right? They were going to be dumb anyway and join something stupid regardless.
And yeah, we've talked about this. Bad ideas attract people because people want acceptance.
Yeah.
And these groups are excellent at accepting the wandering soul. Mm-hmm. Because that's how they know. That's the only way they know how to grow their groups. They look for, and it's not just neo-Nazis. Again, we've said
it's Al Qaeda. It's cults.
It's gangs in America.
Yeah.
They get the kid from the inner city whose mom works all the time, or doesn't work, or whatever it is. The kid's father's not around. He feels lost. Doesn't feel like he belongs anywhere. Mm-hmm. Well, here's these guys on the corner who are excellent salesmen.
Yeah.
Not selling drugs, so you don't have to sell drugs. Drugs kind of sell themselves. Mm-hmm. But they're good at selling the idea of this is your family now.
Yeah.
And any wandering soul who wants acceptance, if someone shows that they actually want to be around them, they're going to take that opportunity. Yeah. And they're going to adopt whatever mentality or ideas and they're probably going to adapt them stronger than the people that have them because they want to prove that they belong.
Yeah.
And people who lead these kind of movements, they're pros at the mental game.
Yeah.
Pros at it. Mm-hmm. Most of them are natural born leaders. Whether you like the person or not, someone can be a natural born leader.
Yeah.
Or a natural born salesperson. Like, they're good at this shit. And they're better than you. Even if your idea is 10 times better and it's not horrible against other people or whatever, if you can't sell that to someone as a better idea, you've lost.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just because Trump is going to say some shit or Elon's going to say some shit, like I see his quotes and then I see him talk. Mm-hmm. When he talks and I listen to him talk, he sounds reasonable. I equate it to back in the day with Rand Paul. If you just took the quotes that people put out about Rand Paul, he sounds like a lunatic. Mm-hmm. But when he got on a camera and actually talked like a human being to an interview or whatever, his points sounded valid.
Yeah.
Because he had a way of explaining. He was able to explain the point. It wasn't just the talking point. It was, okay, and this is why. Mm-hmm. And that's effective.
Yeah.
That's effective. And I do think, like, I don't know how many people there are out there like me. I'm looking for a reason to not vote for Republicans next time.
Yeah.
But Democrats aren't showing any of it.
And for me, I want there to be, I don't want to have a choice between two shitheads. Mm-hmm. I want a choice between two really awesome candidates. We haven't had it in a very long time. I want it to be the fact, like, hey, this is my guy, but if he loses, I'm okay with this other one.
Yeah.
I'd like the decision to be hard that way, not the other way. It's like, you choose between two pitchers. You choose by the one that, is, can't hit the backstop but throws really hard. Like, that's not a good choice. Or you pick the kid that can and throw it across the plate. Like, that's too. I want, like, do I want the freaking, the Randy Johnson or the Greg Maddux? Which one do I want? Like, that's the choice I want to make. I think that's a choice we deserve to make. And the parties aren't really producing it a lot. And for the Democrats, I don't see a bench. I just see them, screaming about a bunch of, kind of just hot topic issues that, if you want to talk about the trans population, it's very small. You're not dealing with a whole bunch of people here.
Less than 1% of the population.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing is how it's exploded among girls, which is really, because historically it's always been, it affected a very small percentage of males. And now it's these girls, and it's like, and it's exploded within the last couple of years, like, or last 20 years, like 10,000%. Like, why don't we look back and see what's causing, like, what's the deal with that?
The other number to look at is the detransition number.
Yeah.
The ones who try and go back.
Yeah.
A lot of the, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but a majority of the detransitioners are girls that were trans boys that were going back to be girls. Mm-hmm. And they were transitioned. I mean, I'm talking like not just the cover sheet.
Yeah.
Like they went through the puberty blockers and a lot of once they get to be of age, they are very, very pissed off at not only the parents but the doctors. Mm-hmm. Like, you were supposed to be a medical doctor. Your first ethos is do no harm, and you harmed me.
Yeah.
That's a damning sentence.
Yeah.
Like, some of the, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I just know that there are a lot of detransitioners, and if you try and talk about that, God forbid, you're going to get just shit slammed.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those, there are no detransitioners, and if they are, it's bad. And I'm going to say, so Dave Chappelle is the one that talked about the Ku Klux trans. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I use that term is because if you say anything against the trans community, the blowback is fierce. Yeah. And I think, and this gets back to like the, exclusion of nuance and everything has to be absolute, if this then type thinking. I think it's perfectly reasonable for a parent to not want their child to be transitioned, right? To think there should be limits on certain things. But then if they do when they're older, to accept them and love them.
Correct.
Why can't those two things, and to the ideologues, they can't exist because, then you're a transphobe, you're a bigot. I'm not afraid of anyone. But to, say it was one of my children, like, yeah, okay, if that's how, but you're going to explore that later because as a parent, just like if you came and said, hey, Dad, I want to buy a Hayabusa sport bike. Like, no, you're not getting that because you're going to kill yourself. Right. Like you came, I think I'm a girl now. No, we're going to explore that. You need to do some development first. Like there's that even for like my, the procedure I'm having, the bariatric surgery, I have to go see a psychologist. Correct. You know what I mean? And this is something that's only going to be beneficial, but I still have to go see a psychologist for it. Right. Like, there's a check for that. Well, let's apply that same logic to this very long-lasting, impactful procedure that you want to have done. And sure, you don't get instant gratification, but we live in an instant gratification society.
The problem with what you just said, though, is getting approval from a psychologist to transition is like going on Hims and getting a fucking Viagra pill.
Yeah, and
it's a check mark. Like, hey, you having trouble getting it up? Yep. Okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Like, no follow through, right?
And in fact, that's actually been legislated through the the laws where it's illegal to try to change someone from being like some sort of therapy. Like, I don't want to say transition therapy but I think I'm at a loss for words here, which is funny considering what we do.
Right.
But I never said I was good at it. But if you're going to go and say, so if you're a mental health professional and you could lose your license, for trying to change someone from being gay to straight, which doesn't work.
No.
They've applied that statute to the if you're to advise someone against transitioning,
right,
and you can lose your license. So no one who relies on this for their income, and that's their reputation, their career, is going to go against it.
Well, and the other thing that's not really talked about, there's two things. The first one, there's an Instagram person called Becky Weiss, and she made this. She made a video that sticks out to me, and she basically said, when I was a young girl, I climbed trees, I wore boys' clothes, I played baseball, I was playing with rocks and stuff, and she goes, "Thank God my parents didn't transition me, because God forbid I'm just a run-of-the-mill dyke."
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, someone like her is actually getting more traction from the right than the left.
Yeah.
Like, she gets more acceptance think about this. She gets more accepted from the so-called bigots and homophobes than she does from the left. Mm-hmm. All because she's talking out against the trans movement.
Yeah.
And the second part of this is, how many of these kids get transitioned because the mothers or fathers are mentally unstable? Like right now, and people are probably wondering what the fuck I'm talking about. Well, one, more Americans are on antidepressants than ever before. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I am on one. All right. Now, I think I'm fucked because I'm on one, because I don't think I can ever get off. Because when I tried to get off, it made it worse. Mm. I do think it alters brain chemistry. I don't think those drugs were properly vetted. But, I mean, that's a whole nother episode when we talk about the FDA.
Yeah.
But you now have these people who are diagnosed as mentally not, I would say, I'm not going to say mentally unstable, but there's mental depression going on. Mm-hmm. Deciding this major decision for their kids. I'm not talking about whether the kid eats a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm talking about whether they're going to be a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
And again, it's a rubber stamp process. And then there's part of it where if in some of these states, if one of the parents wants to do it and the other parent doesn't, Child Protective Services gets involved.
Yeah.
And removes the parent that doesn't want it to happen. Mm-hmm. And you've also got situations where some of these deranged individuals work in schools to the point where the school doesn't have to disclose anything to the parent. And that was another person that was brought up at Trump's speech. Mm-hmm. There was a parent there. They tried to transition her kid without her knowing.
Yeah.
It's that deep. Now, I'm not saying it's widespread.
Right.
But it is happening. Just like when those books were in elementary schools that showed a boy giving another boy a blowjob.
Yeah.
That was in elementary schools. Mm-hmm. Essentially, it's pornography.
Have you ever seen the videos that he's like a real in shape black guy? I think he's a reverend, and he comes in and he reads the books at the school board meetings.
Oh,
and I might have my people mixed up, but he comes and he actually gets the book that's in the school libraries and he reads it. Like, sir, that's inappropriate. Well, this is in your library. Mm-hmm. I got it from your library in one of your schools, and I can't read it here, but kids can be exposed to this, and they always throw them out.
Right.
But
well, and DeSantis had that press conference. I remember this. I remember the press conference he did because they said he was banning books. Mm-hmm. Remember, this was the whole Florida book banning.
Yeah.
Back when they also had the Don't Say Gay bill that didn't have any mention of that in the bill, mm-hmm. but they labeled this shit. Yeah. Oh, how could you be against gay people? This says Don't Say Gay.
Right.
No, it fucking doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, how could he's banning all books? No, he fucking isn't.
Right.
Now, do I agree with book banning? Not really. Mm-mm. However, we have certain places where things are not allowed. Like I cannot put a Playboy in a convenience store without a cover sheet on it, so kids can't see the tits, mm-hmm. or a hog just hanging out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, so why would a book with a cartoon of a boy giving another boy a blowjob be allowed in an elementary school?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that's not there. That book isn't there.
Because the thing is,
then DeSantis literally held up the book, opened it to the pages with the pornographic material. Mm-hmm. And oh, that's just a cartoon drawing. Are you fucking nuts?
Yeah, because if you possess that image on your computer, you're going to go to federal jail.
Bingo.
You know what I mean? Like
the weird thing is, like they get shown it. Oh, that's not happening. Oh, this isn't happening.
Yeah,
this book is in this live. This isn't happening. Oh well, now they're trying to. Well, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay. No. And this is where Democrats lost people.
Yeah.
They lost the common sense battle.
Yeah. And then if a kid bites a Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun, he gets expelled.
True.
Like,
can't have that either. So it's, I guess my whole point of this is, and this is why we talked about the topic. How are Democrats going to come back from this?
Yeah.
Without changing, like they haven't changed anything mm-hmm. since they lost the election.
Yeah.
Like, think about how unpopular Trump is personality-wise. How many people said, well, I don't like him, but I still voted for him. Mm-hmm. You lost to that guy because your messaging is so fucking bad.
Yeah. And and they've abandoned what used to be their, like, unions, and they still play homage to the unions, but the head of the Teamsters union was on Tucker Carlson before the election. Mm-hmm. And you listen to this dude, and like he's from Boston, he has the thick accent. Like you're like, I don't know if I want to disagree with this dude. Like he's probably gonna freaking kill me. But like those guys are now like on the Trump side. Now there's a lot of awful anti-union stuff coming out of the especially at the state level mm-hmm. From the Republican side, but like go back to that. Focus on that. Focus on helping working families, not this crazy stuff. It's a shame because to me, I'm like, okay, well, is the closest thing I have because I'm anti-war and I'm pro free speech and I'm a union guy. Like, is that the closest thing like, I'd have to vote for a Republican for that.
So at the national conventions, the only national convention that invited the Teamsters to go was the Republican National Convention. Mm-hmm. The Democratic National Convention didn't even ask them to show up.
Yeah.
Think about it. One of the largest unions in this country, you didn't ask to come speak.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you thinking?
Yep.
Like, if the GOP in this new big tent mega thing, where it's a lot of populist left, populist right, if they get out of this business owner versus worker mentality that's currently splitting it right now, mm-hmm. if they jumped in with the unions and said, you know what, maybe unionizing a force isn't so bad.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should have union workers at auto plants, mm-hmm. at Amazon.
The unions is what built the middle class in the United States.
Well, and that's another, and that's why business owners are against it, because they know it's going to lead to rising costs.
Yeah, but then rising costs mean, like, so say, like, we're solidly middle class. For this area, with our income, if we lived pretty much anywhere that wasn't in New York or California or here, we'd be like high on the hog. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But when it gets close to payday, I'm like, I don't know if I should be swiping my card on this one. Mm-hmm. So, but like, looking out for people like us, rather than, but when we have more money, we spend it.
Correct.
And guess where we're going to spend it? At the business owner's place. Like, I'm not going to go be like, I have all this money now, and I got to spend it. Well, I'm not going to spend it for the business. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well, and unions have to check themselves too, though, mm-hmm. because the union administration, it gets fucking rich off the union members.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's the disconnect. I think the union, I think the businesses hate the unions because of the admin portion. Mm-hmm. Maybe not so much the worker portion.
Yeah,
but that needs to hash itself out. Because if this MAGA Maha movement thing, if they settle that shit and say, you know what, unions are good, but you unions got to reduce your administration bullshit.
Yeah, and there's also a big difference. So I'll use the teachers union between NEA and your local public schools teachers union. Yeah. Completely different, right? So I actually went pretty hard after a state senator, I think, on Facebook. I usually don't do that, but I did. Because you talk about, let's not give a handout to the teachers union. And I was like, okay, dude, like, do you know what a teacher makes? Have you even looked at their salary scale? Tell me this is a handout to the teachers union, enriching the teachers union. You're just cherry picking a little thing because everyone hates NEA. And I forget the president of NEA, who's really dislikable.
The lady.
Yeah.
She was the one who wrote the memo to the DOJ, and the DOJ used it to demonize parents at PTA meetings. Yeah. Yeah. She needs to fucking take a seat.
Yeah. She is not representing your 7th grader's math teacher.
No.
They garner support because they pretend to, but that is a monster organization that is not looking out for the welfare of your local public school teachers.
Right.
And people think like, oh, they're living high on the hog. There's rich teachers. I'm like, tell me where the rich teachers are. Because I married a teacher and she ain't rich.
Yeah.
So.
Same. Yeah. I mean, we're still paying on my wife's student loans 25 years later.
Like, you go to get to the higher in quotes relative to the lower salary scales, you have to go get a master's degree.
Right.
There's no return on that investment.
You need a master's to teach elementary school social studies.
Right. How about the first requirement be you like kids?
Right. How about that?
Right. Yeah. But like they go after, and I think that the Republicans lose, and because they're playing to this idiotic idea that the NEA is somehow, and there's all the other big unions that are, not representing your little guys.
So NEA is only the second biggest teachers union. There's a bigger one.
Okay.
That doesn't do all I mean, don't get me wrong, they're probably not great either.
Yeah.
But the NEA is the more vocal of the two.
Yeah. And that's the problem there. Like, and you have these politicians playing to the stupid in their base, which is, they're union people. Like, I'm sorry, like, get a master's degree to make $75,000 a year? Like, no thanks.
Right. In an area that $75,000 puts you maybe at the lower part of middle class.
Oh,
as much as that sucks to say.
Yeah.
People say, well, I'll take $75,000. Yeah. Okay. Then you have to move here.
Yeah.
and live with this high cost of living shit.
Yeah.
Like, if I make 75 grand in Tennessee somewhere,
Doing great.
I'm probably okay, as long as it's not Nashville, because Nashville isn't exactly cheap to live either.
Yeah.
Like, it was fun because you had told me that where your in-laws live. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, let me go check in. Let me just go see what real estate is.
Yeah.
Dude, it's 475 grand for a 3-4 bedroom house.
Yeah. You
it
have
ain't
to,
cheap.
Yep. You have to go out towards, like, for that area, you have to go out west.
Yeah.
Further west, because it isn't cheap to live there.
Right. I mean, it's not super cheap to live in some parts of Florida. It's not like, just because you don't live in a major city doesn't mean it's super cheap to live.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. In some places, like if I went to like Columbus, Ohio, okay, that's different. It's a little bit less expensive. It's not super inexpensive, but it's somewhat less expensive. And look, I'm all for rural living, but at the same time, the reason why I live here is because, one, I get my suburban feel. Mm-hmm. I get a little bit of a city to be around if I want some city-ish type things.
Yeah. If you want to go to real city, there's two of them, 30 minutes away.
Correct. But they're 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
They're far enough away.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is there's medical care around here. Now, look, yes, I have my medical issues, but for my mother, it's more important.
Oh, yeah.
And I live near my mother.
My mom and dad would still be alive if they had stayed here rather than moving the Outer Banks. And essentially, I think it was the doctor when my mom got sick and started her final descent. He said, "This is a wonderful place to retire. It's an awful place to grow old."
Right.
And because there's the one hospital is essentially like it's designed to patch you up and ship you to Norfolk, so that you can actually take care of you.
Yeah. So saying a teacher who makes 75 grand a year, and you're talking like that's a teacher with like 10 years in.
Yeah.
That isn't the first year teacher.
No, the first year teacher is like 61.
Around here? I thought it was less than that. I thought it was like 40, 45.
No, it's I think it starts with it's either a high 5 or 6. In any case, you make more money at Costco.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Around here, rent's like what? For 2-bedroom condo, you're at $1,800 a month.
At least.
Imagine your first job out of school is to be a teacher. You want to be a teacher. You love kids. You get your first teaching job. You make 55 grand a year. You're thinking that's good money. And then you find out that almost 3/4 of your take home pay has to go to rent.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to build wealth in yourself?
And then they wonder why they can't hire anyone.
Well, get a roommate.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I had this conversation with someone on Twitter the other day saying, yes, if you want to try and get ahead, yeah, you might have to take in a roommate, charge rent, whatever. But I said that if you buy a place, take on a roommate to pay your mortgage, get ahead, do it for a few years. But should that be what you have to do?
Yeah.
Just to tread water? Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy around here.
Two of my wife's coworkers, I think one's 25, one's 26 or 24, 25. They're young girls, but they live in they still live at home. Mm-hmm. So they are. They're professionals that live at home. And it's
back in the day, young ladies before they got married lived at home.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the boomers go and say, "Oh, well, you need to move out and buy a house." Okay, well, you people you created all this. But
although I will say this, any young person who is out there, I always recommend that they buy a house, a small one, if you can.
Yeah.
Now, see, so when I got out of college, I got my first job. I made 30 grand a year, but this was back in like 2001.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was up in upstate New York. I worked for a year. I lived I lived in an apartment with a buddy. Mm-hmm. So I was paying rent and all this stuff. I'd be an adult. I was adulting. And I was able to save up $3,000. Took advantage of a first-time buyer program, and I bought a duplex.
Yeah.
Rented out one half. Was going to move into the other, but I moved to Baltimore, so I rented out both halves. Kept it for 3 years. I bought it initially for $96,000. I sold it for $136 in 3 years. That's why I always recommend for young people, buy a house versus renting as soon as you can. Because real estate is the best way to build wealth, in my opinion. That being said, I mean, if you bought one in 2007, well, you got your fucking ass handed to you in 2008. So you got to be careful when you do it. But
there's the line like, that dude smiled like someone that sold his house in 2007.
And look, don't get me wrong, 2007 bit me in the ass. So I can't say it's all rainbows and unicorns. But yeah, if, in my opinion, if Republicans were smart with this new coalition that they've got, they would change the relationship they have with certain groups of people. If they do that, just like I said, if the Democrats don't want to pivot and the Republicans make this move where they coalesce around this newfound people they got, they will almost guaranteed to crush the Democrat into a fringe party. Now, there might be another party that bubbles out of it, because that kind of a marriage of so many different people usually won't last that long. But you can squash this movement to nothing if you make the right moves. That's what I'm saying. If Trump really wanted to get back at the Democrats, now keep in mind he's got a lot of reasons to hate them. I mean, they tried to fucking sue him into oblivion for 8 years. If he really wants to do that, he can do it without making it look like he's doing it. But we hope you like this episode. Comment below. Tell us what did you think of the State of the Union. Tell us what you think about the current state of Democrats. Tell us if you think we're stupid. I mean,
it's fine. I hear it every day.
Yeah.
I'm married. I get called stupid every day.
I'm sure you can tell me my opinions are shit just like my wife does.
Yeah.
So, like, subscribe, comment, share. I want to thank Adam Chubbuck, TACMD.com, TACMD.com. Go to his website. This real estate market is going to get rocky. Go to a professional. Get good advice.
Especially if you're that young first-time buyer we just talked about.
I'm telling you, right now, if home prices go down, if you are a young first-time home buyer, go talk to Adam. Get yourself a deal. Buy when the market dips. I'm telling you this right now. Buy when the market dips. You're going to pay less in mortgage than you do in rent. Buy yourself a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow home. And those exist around us. I mean, if you're in that Glen Burnie, Pasadena area, I wouldn't go to Brooklyn Park, but if you're in the Glen Burnie area, there are some homes to be had over there. That's where you're going to find your deal. Your first home doesn't have to be magical. It's not going to be what you grew up in.
Yes, you're not buying your forever house.
No, you're right. You're buying your first home. You're buying think of it as an equity builder. That's all it is. A place for you to sleep, live your life, and eventually sell it.
Yeah.
Go to Adam, TACMD.com, Pasadena, Maryland. Get him on your side. Get your house at the right price. We'll talk to you next week.